Let's take a look at some off-season capabilities for the first game announcer tool. Many off-season events will have non-standard playoffs, and this means that there might be more alliances than usual, or you might have more teams on an alliance. This can lead to some confusion and some frustration for folks who are trying to use game announcer tool, and it's not there. The other thing that we see is that sometimes events will have non-standard playoffs, and that results in there being no playoff schedule that's generated by FMS, and instead they're working off of spreadsheets, or they're working off of some other system like Nexus, where the schedule's generated there, and the folks at the scoring table that are running the actual matches are going to be using test matches or practice matches in order to run each match. So what we've done is to bring some of that capability to you. The first thing to note is this only works in registered off-season events and events that are hooked up via TBA. So you see, like this Arizona Robotics League Championship, it's yellow. That's going to work. These blue ones are going to work as well, or should work. Battlecry, there are 3 of those. Anyway, we're going to pick this one because this is the one that happened in May, and it's in a condition that's perfect for what we want to do. The first thing we want to tackle is the alliance selection portion. And in the case of Battlecry, they have an interesting structure where there's 48 teams, but there's actually 12 alliances. And so we want to make that happen. The other thing that they do is they use 4-team alliances. So we're going to configure alliance selection here. Let's do that now. So we're going to tell it we want 4-team alliances, and we also want to have more alliances. So you can see here where it says up to 16 alliances. 8 is the default, but in this case, we're going to go all the way to 12. Now, this particular event, if you go to look at it in GA Tool right now, stops at the end of quals, and therefore alliance selection is ready. It makes it perfect for this application. So let's go see what alliance selection looks like now. On alliance selection, there's a new area, this yellow area. This only shows up for off-season events. And you'll see you can adjust the alliance count here, and you can also enable or disable 4-team alliances. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to reduce this down to 6 alliances. And you can see right there, this has switched to 6. There's 6 alliances. The other thing I can do is to turn on or turn off 4-team alliances. So by switching to 3-team alliances, a couple things have happened. Backup teams have come back, which you'll need, maybe, and you'll see that there's only 3 teams on an alliance. So let's go back to 4-team alliances. You can see the backup teams are gone. We have 6 to go, and we'll just fill them in. Oh, wait, one more thing, because that's how we roll here. You'll see a new button called Reorder Alliance Selection. And this means that as you're configuring alliance selection, you may not always go first to last, and then last to first, and then first to last. You might have a different run. So for demonstration, let's say that we start on number 6 and we go to number 1, and then we go number 1 to number 6, and then we repeat number 1 to number 6, and that's how this is going to go. When you save, what it's going to do is to restart alliance selection, so it'll wipe out whatever you have chosen up to that point, and it will ensure that you get fresh rankings if there are any, and so on. So here we go. So let's see how this works. Because we changed it to start with 6, you can see that it's starting with number 6 now, and we're just going to pick over here, and I'm just going to agree. So this is not real, but I'm just picking until we get there. So now you'll see we'll get all the way to number 1, and then number 1 is picking, and that will run back all the way to number 6, and then if you remember, it's going to go back to number 1 after we make this. So now it's back to number 1. So this allows us to have a very flexible alliance selection that we can hopefully configure for whatever your postseason event is, whatever your requirements are. Now, we've done alliance selection. We have alliances because we just did alliance selection. And if you use this tool and you've completed alliance selection, you have your alliances defined, and you don't have a playoff schedule and you don't have alliances coming from the FMS, then you can still do matches. And you can do it by using test mode. So we'll turn on test mode right now. And what that does is it removes the schedule from the equation. And it knows what phase you're in. So if I have alliances for this event, because I've just created them with alliance selection, and I go to announce, I can now change my teams. If I click on change the teams, I have my 4 teams, because we said 4 team alliances, right? I can choose by hand, or I can pick the alliance that I just defined. So now we'll pick alliance number 1, and they're going to play alliance number 6 in this match. Now it's all filled in. If you want to move the stations around, you can do that. Maybe 131, they're going to come up here to station there, and it's going to swap them around. So you can adjust which teams are on the field, and then your reserve team is the team that is on the sidelines, or maybe they have a human player that's out. And now we're ready to go. You can announce the teams. Everything looks great. Switch over to play-by-play. Same deal, ready to go. And you can call the match, and then you can go and set up the next match. So maybe in the next match, it's Alliance 3 versus Alliance 4. There we go. We're good to go. And we can go ahead and run the next match. So hopefully with these new capabilities, the remembering the alliances that you defined in alliance selection, as well as this new test match capability, will allow you to have a much better postseason experience. Know that we're working on bringing in schedule data out of Nexus. So as a fallback, if we're not getting schedule from TBA or we're not getting schedule from First, then we'll see if we can get a schedule out of Nexus. That should be coming in the next week or so, maybe sooner. And stay tuned. We'll let you know when it happens.